Okay, lovely. This is part one of my winging it and making borscht in a way that I think will be great. So I'm choosing to develop flavor at every level, and for that reason, I'm going to roast the 2.5 pounds of beets that came from the secret garden. And I'm just gonna put a couple small ones in one pouch, cover with oil. The oven is heating up to 425, and we're gonna lock the juices in. Then I have 2 small heads of celery root, because celery root or potatoes are often used as a thickener, and I think celery root tastes better. So I'm going to wrap this up and oil it, and I'm not going to season it because everything's going to be seasoned as it's cooking. Okay, so I've got that. Then I have 1 kind of medium-sized russet potato to add in the delight of the thickening. And I'm going fast because I want these in the oven because they could take longer, and I don't want to go into the wee hours of the morning making borscht. I just want them in the oven and roasting. It'll take around an hour. After 45 minutes is poking the fork through the foil to see if they're fork tender. And if they aren't, I'll leave them longer, and if they are, I'll take them out and let them cool, and we'll start the next phase of flavor making. Okay, so since I'm not making beef stock, I have all the beef bones, and I could have made beef stock, but I didn't, and most recipes call for chicken stock. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna roast this little piece. It's about 1/2 pound of baby back ribs. Well, it's a beef rib. It's a short beef. Sorry, it's not a baby, but it's a short rib. And I just want to cover it in oil. And I'm going to roast it at the same time as the vegetables. Now I gotta get my hands clean so I can season it. We'll season it with oily hands. It doesn't matter. Okay, salt. This pepper, massage it in a bit, over. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this cook, but I'm probably not gonna keep the meat. I might save it for something else, but I'm gonna cook this off, and then I'm gonna put it in to braise with the soup for flavor. And I might leave the meat in. Okay, so we'll just chunky salt, kosher salt, pepper. That's gonna probably take longer than the beets, but the beets are large, so it might actually be the same amount of time. Okay, friends, so the roasting of the vegetables, the beets, the celery root, and the single potato has been completed, and that entire tray is out now, cooling down, because I need to peel the beets, and I can't do it when they're so hot. So we're gonna begin the sofrito. I noticed lots of recipes, and I'm using the slicing blade here. I noticed that lots of, first of all, almost every soup you'll find involves sofrito, and in French it's mirepoix. And instead of chopping, I quite love my device here. So, I also wanted to mention that because there are thousands of recipes, and they're all family recipes probably, sofrito is not required, but some put carrots. Some recipes put potatoes. Some recipes put this or that. But I think that's because it depended on what you actually had available. And I just decided I'm going to do a sofrito by chopping up 3 small, well, you know, medium-sized celery stalks. And mirepoix is onion, celery, carrots. They're all aromatics, and they provide a base. But our base, and they don't have to be chopped, because I kind of like the idea of having slices of carrot in my soup. And one more. And then I'm going to switch blades. Sounds like I'm doing a commercial for Cuisinart. They should probably pay me. Okay, so I'm going to switch blades, and I'm going to add red cabbage to the same mixer. And this is a coarse shred. I have 2 of these, and you can do a fine one or a coarse one. I'm doing the coarse one. And we just need to see whether we can get it in there. Okay, so that's always a thing, because you don't want to be hurting your expensive appliance. So I'm just gonna, can you see it? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it in, and then I'm gonna take this and put it in like that, and we'll decide whether I kind of want equal amounts, but I might add more cabbage, because this is shredding and it will be less. See, it actually is quite, looks a bit less. So it was a small cabbage, red cabbage over, obviously, because you can see it. And we're just gonna keep, we want the red. That's a theme, isn't it? So I think we'll do maybe one more quarter piece. I don't think I need that. Let's see. We don't want it to be cabbage soup. We want it to be beet. And we have sofrito. We have sofrito if you include the 1.5 onions I got from the Secret Garden, and I chopped them myself. So into a kind of medium chop. This is medium chopped. I wanted to make clear that we're taking these out now. I just want to make clear that the reason I'm using the beef short ribs, just a small amount, like 1/4 pound, is because I didn't make beef stock. And obviously you could make this just with chicken stock or even with vegetable stock. And the beef is not really necessary, but I'm trying to do a flavor bomb. So we have the roast here, roasted short ribs. I'm going to place it in the Dutch oven, and where the fat remaining is not going in. No one wants more fat. And like I said, this could be done without that. But I want to do the flavor bomb, and I'm just trying to emulate the idea that we have beef stock. I have lots of beef bones. I should have made beef stock. But, you know, I looked at 100 recipes, and none of them asked for beef stock. Some of them asked for short ribs, so I bought short ribs. As you can tell, this is an experiment, and I hope you'll join me on this experiment. So we're gonna add our onions. I added some extra virgin olive oil, and you can add a garlic if you want, but that's not required. And then I'm gonna add all of this mixture: celery, carrots, red cabbage. I actually feel like I shredded it too much. Perhaps I got the wrong shredder. Anyway, like I said, it's an experiment. So we're just gonna put that all in there. I might have to get a bigger stock pot instead of the Dutch oven. But at this point, I'm not concerned because this isn't cooked down. So I'm going to put the lid on sideways. And I'm going to, wait, you know what? I like the big chunks. I'm gonna add those. So I think I need to just toss this a bit with the meat. And I need to add olive oil, and I need to hear that sizzle. You need to cook this down. Okay, meanwhile, I'll be peeling my beets. Okay, you kind of want to get this done before you start the sofrito. It's reducing nicely, but we need to take the skins off these beets. I have gloves on. You don't need gloves really. Where I need a little tray. Let's get me a little tray. Hold on. No, a bowl. A nice glass bowl, and we just find the skin and get it off. Oh, that's still hot. Okay, let's try the smaller ones. So this is kind of what you want to do, and they're a little bit hot, but you can tell how easily the skin comes off. There's roasted potato. Basically, we're going to slice these up, possibly chop them, but I just want to show you what you have to do before you get the sofrito cooked too much. Here's some potatoes. They've been skinned. Let's see we got here. More potato. Oh no, this is celery root. Celery root. So I need a bigger bowl. Just want to let you know how easy it is to get the skins off. Everything's been skinned except for the beets. And I just want to give you a quick glimpse. The sofrito is cooking down. I should have done this earlier. This is an experiment, right? So all that veg cooked down already to this much with the bone showing. So I'm just gonna take it off the heat while I get these things cooled down to the touch. There's steam coming off. They came out a long time ago, but they were being steamed in their own juices, and I got this easy method, but they're a little bit too hot to touch for now. But I'll be right back at it in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. All right. Okay, folks, that was surprisingly easy. After I took the roasted veg, beets, tomato, celery root out of the foil, it only took 5 minutes to cool down enough to remove all the skin, and they're beautiful, shiny, gorgeous, smells amazing. Sorry. Other recipes require you to grate the raw beets, but I just want a flavor bomb. My machine would have grated them, but God forbid you have to grate them by hand, like in old days. Anyway, so we're gonna just chop up the cooked celery, root celeriac, because, and it doesn't actually matter what size, because in the end, I'm going to immersion blend it to half chunky consistency. So I do think that this stuff that's been roasted for an hour will just end up being a thickener. But the same reason I didn't dice my carrots is because I want to see a little carrot. And by the way, that's half a cabbage in there in the sofrito. So once we get, here's a potato. I don't need to do, I think I'll just dice the potato. It's a bit firmer than celery root. But I just like the flavor of celery root. It's not pure starch, it has celery flavor. Okay, so I'm not using my gloves here, but I'm going to slice. These are have some substantial firmness. I'm not going to dice, I'm going to slice. If my hands aren't turning that red because these have been cooked. However, my friend Tracy, who used to work in a bakery, told me how to deal with stains on the hands, and it is a miracle to know that all you have to do is just to rub your hands for a few minutes in hand lotion or body lotion. So here I'm just trying to get all the chunks similar. I'm just making chunks, no dice. And this will go back into the bowl until it's time to make the soup. I have twice as many, maybe 3 times as many beets to cut than I do potato and celery. And that's going to be fine for now, and I'll be right back. So this is humming right along. Hey lovelies, this is going well. I got the sofrito versus the peeling and chopping out of order, but it really took nothing to get these. And look how beautiful they are. They're like little gems. They're like dark rubies. And when you taste them, they're so sweet. That's why roasting is important, I think. And I'm heating this. Oh, the other thing is that using my 5-liter Dutch oven was not wise, and I didn't need it. So I transferred the bone, with the beef bone, and the sofrito with the grated cabbage to a bigger stock pot, because we're going to need a larger, it'll cook down, but at first it's going to be full. So I just want to say that I have this heating. I might add a little more olive oil because I took most of the beef fat out, but the beef flavor will remain. And we're just gonna do as you do as a sofrito or mirepoix. Make sure you salt it or season it. Generally speaking, you salt it first and add the pepper at the end because pepper can get burned. So we've got that going, and I hear it sizzling, and I just need to be working this now. Okay, when you see that it's all coming together, smells good, then it's time. We're gonna add you could add white wine to deglaze the bottom, but because I roasted the beef ribs in the oven, I don't have anything to deglaze. So I'm going to deglaze with chicken broth. I just want to make sure it's good. Smelled it. And that's about 4 cups. But this is going to make more than 4 cups. And the deglazing is not the main point of the chicken stock. The main point of the chicken stock is its broth. So let me taste that. Yeah, it's good. I think. Well, yes, it is. And then I'm gonna, so that's 4 cups. And I'm gonna do 6 cups. There's a kind of a rule of thumb here. Most recipes I'm looking at call for 6 cups. Now we're gonna put that to high. But the rule of thumb is to have the broth cover everything. So we're gonna put this in, bring it to the boil. This is all the starches, the beets, and the beets, which are all pre-cooked. And look, it doesn't even cover. So I'm gonna add more stock. The beets will cook down. Actually, you know what? That's enough. The beets will cook down. You can see that they're mainly covered. All right. I'll do a little bit of seasoning at the end. But what we want to do now is bring it to we want to stir it up, bring it to a boil. And then we're going to let it simmer. Everything in there is already cooked, but we want to reduce the fluids so that they're flavorful. Normally in a stock, you let it reduce normally like using stock in like say chicken soup or veg soup, you'd let it simmer for, I don't know, half an hour or an hour until you get a really strong flavor. I don't want to mush. I don't want this to be mush. So I'm just gonna taste it after it's simmered for half an hour. This is simmering very nicely. It's probably a good time to add some herbs, but in this case, the herb is dill. And it's also a good time to maybe add the black pepper, freshly ground. I'm gonna give it a nice amount there. It smells really good. I can't believe it. But I can't believe how amazing it smells. But we're just gonna put in quite a bit. Like, look at this pot, it's quite large. So, I'm gonna flavor it with dill. And of course, we're gonna garnish it with dill and some other things I have up my sleeve. Mush it all in and let it simmer for another half hour before I immersion blend it. I don't know if you can tell how thick it is, but the thickness is part of the joy, because as it thickens, the flavor concentrates. That's what we call a reduction. So half an hour is probably good, but I'll taste it first, and I might let it go as long as an hour. But it's only been a few hours, and this didn't take long. By the way, the bone is still in there, and that's gonna come out, and this will reduce when the bone comes out, and a little meat will come off, and it'll be in there for flavor. But that back rib bone didn't really have a lot of meat. All right, we're finishing with the Borscht flavor bomb. I'm gonna take out what I've been calling the beef short ribs. Turns out it's just one rib, and I'm not gonna slice the meat into it. Oops, I made a little error there. What I'm gonna do is just use that meat in a ragu that was just meant to add flavor. And I'm going to, it's quite hot, so it's a little dangerous. I could have waited, but I'm just gonna use the immersion blender to get it into a kind of state of well, thickness, but, oh shoot. But I want it to be semi-blended, you know what I mean? Just like with chunks, but also full-bodied. It's very hot. Oh, you know what I'm not doing right? I need to add a couple tablespoons of red wine vinegar. This is actually quite essential. And I put more than 2 in. I'll taste it later and we'll see. But that's part of the flavor balance because you have all that beef fat. And which wasn't very much, it was like 1 rib. Okay. Just gonna do this. I should use my hand properly and my finger, and I'm gonna do it. I have to figure out, I'm gonna use my left hand. No, maybe my right. But I wanna use that starch to my advantage. I do want there to be some chunks and some pieces of carrot. And it's looking quite good. The reason I'm being so careful is because I know that if I'm not careful, it's gonna splatter over me, and it's actually still quite hot. Okay, so it's a little borscht. So I feel like it's good to add this amount of the borscht that I've made, calling it Flavour Bomb Borscht. I call it that because I used the beef and the beef bone, and I roasted the beets and the kind of starches. So that brought out a lot of sweetness, Therefore, I had to add, I estimate I added 5 or 6 tablespoons of red wine vinegar to this because it was so sweet. I didn't add any sugar. I never add sugar. There's never a need if you're roasting. But I just wanted to show you how I'm going to serve it. I'm going to do a dollop of sour cream. And because lots of recipes have cucumbers in them, I'm just going to sprinkle some on top, diced finely. And then, of course, add the typical little leaves of dill. And now I'm going to eat it.